Hello, how's it going? It is I, Speaker Lex Luthor, aka the Aerodynamic John Brown, aka Todge. And today I want to do a slightly different video than usual because I want to talk about my problems, and I'm a very lucky person because most of my problems are first world problems. You know, problems that aren't really problems that if you were to complain about them in public in front of people who have actual problems, you'd be told to go away or shut up in a harsh way. And one of the first world problems that has happened to me due to this YouTube endeavor is I have way too many speakers. And because I'm a raving lunatic, I've kept most of them in case I need them for future speaker shootouts. And in fact, I've only sold the ones that I really didn't like, and that is the tall number of 0 so far. But one of the ways I've been trying to fix this first world problem is by buying empty cabs, such as this Marshall JCM 900 cab. This is a 1960 B cab, the straight cab. And here in continental Europe, these cabs are very affordable. They're easy to find on the used market. I think I've got 5 or 6 Marshall cabs, and I've paid between 150 and 300 euros shipped for them. The most expensive, 300 euros, was the 1960 TV cab. The advantages for me in doing this is this way I can actually play the speakers, I can move forward at the same time, it looks cool, and I can indulge in my debilitating spending habit. And I've been focusing on Marshall cabs for this, but I've recently stumbled upon a new option. Harley Benton, aka Toman, sell a new front-loading 4x12 for 249 euros. If you live in Germany, that's with free shipping, so 249 for everything. And today I want to find out if that is a good bargain or if it's just pretty firewood. Before I continue, there's one thing I have to tell you. When I bought this cab about a month ago, it's been in its box since, I had no affiliation with Toman whatsoever. I knew a few people who worked there, but that was about it. I've since become a Toman affiliate. Yes, I've sold out. I've given up my integrity for about 19 euros in commission sales so far. And that is one of the reasons why I've left this cab in the box so far. Despite being affiliated with Toman now, I want to give you the actual truth about this cab, and if it's splintery and all broken in here, you guys should know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out of the box. I don't really do unboxing videos usually because I don't get them, but I think it's pertinent for this particular application. You'll get to amuse yourself over how stupid I look doing so. I'm going to take a look at the cab, kind of give it the sniff test, see how it's built, how it feels, and then we're going to load up some speakers into it and compare it to the 1960 B cab I showed you earlier. Let's go. So this is the inside of the box. Just a few foam corners here. Nothing too fancy. Okay. Really looking stupid. There it is. Oh. Instructions, mounting screws for the speakers, and immediately I noticed that these are smaller than your regular mounting screws. I think regular mounting screws are M5s. Typically these look smaller. These are M4s, or yeah, probably M4s, or even smaller. Yeah, don't like that so much. I think they should use beefier ones or standard ones, the same as the cab manufacturers use. Okay, the first thing I noticed, it seems rather light, even for an empty cab. I don't know the exact weight, I might figure this out later. And it's a little on the small side. I think it's about 71 centimeters wide compared to the Marshall's about 75, 76. Depth is about 350 millimeters. That's about the same. So it's a little more narrow and a little shorter than most other 4x12s. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. That doesn't mean that it won't sound good. This THC cab behind me here is one of the best cabs I own, and it's slightly smaller. In fact, I'll probably end up stacking these on top of each other. But never mind. Let's check out the rest of this cab. This being a front-loading cab, the grille comes off. There's latches down here. That's on very tight. Center brace is a little thin, but I don't really think it needs to be fat. It just needs to connect the back wall to the baffle. Cutouts look clean. More bracing. The handles are actually made of metal, unlike the Marshall ones, which are plastic, very brittle and break. Probably my least favorite aspect of the Marshall cabs. Wires look decent too. Yeah, overall, first impression isn't too bad. Unlike what many people think, these are not birch plywood cabs. According to the Thomann website, this is Falcata or something with Meranti front and back veneer on it. And I think colloquially that stuff is known as yellow wood. Now, I don't know this. I googled that stuff beforehand to look smart on the internet. Apparently, it's a South African wood that's used for building furniture and stuff. It's supposedly all right, but not as... doesn't have a reputation for being particularly durable. So we'll see about that. Overall, this cab feels light, but solid. Let's load up some speakers. On closer inspection, I did notice something. Look at this plywood here. There's voids in there. There's a thick layer of paint on everything, but that doesn't look too good. That doesn't look too good. Moisture could get in there and the whole thing could rot away. And that kind of explains why the cab seems so light. This plywood probably isn't very dense. It's not void free. There's a bit of that on the other side too. See, it's not like great birch plywood is. But what do you expect for €249? Overall, build quality looks decent. I'm positively surprised overall. Alright, I've got the speakers installed in the Harley Benton cab, and I'll admit it's a few days later because I went on a wild goose chase because I am a moron. I'm a real cretin. Because I just assumed that this Harley Benton cab is a front-loaded cab because you can take off the front grille. And I've only seen that on front-loading cabs such as my Zilla. I mean, you can take off the back panel here, but you can do that on the Engel cabs as well, and they're front-loaded. So I tried installing the speakers front-loading, put it on the gaskets, and noticing, something's off here. And then I tried to place one speaker inside, and I noticed that the frame of the speaker wasn't making full contact with the baffle. There was about, I don't know, half a centimeter off. And if you were to put in the fastening bolts and tighten them, you could bend your speaker and break it that way. So that put me in a right tailspin. I thought, oh, great, I've just become a Thomann affiliate, and now I'm going to have to bash them for not making the cutouts large enough. So I thought, well, at least people won't be able to say I'm a paid shill. But I was talking to a few friends about this, how I was worked up, and I'd already made one of the cutouts larger to see how that goes. Until I remembered, wait, does it say front loading anywhere? Check the website. No mentioning of front loading anywhere. And in fact, if you put a speaker in the front and try to put on the grill, it won't fit. I'm stupid. I just assumed it was a front-loading cab, even though it absolutely isn't. It's a rear-loading cab, as you can see here. So I've made one of the cutouts larger, but that's no harm done really, because I wanted to do some tests with this cabinet anyway. One of which was to see what the tonal difference is between front-loading and rear-loading a cab. So I'm going to make the other cutouts larger eventually too, and we're going to use this cab in both configurations to see what that does to the sound, but that's a different video. Let's take a look at the inside of these cabs. I have the Harley Benton cab here and the Marshall 1960 B cab from the 90s here, the JCM 900 cab. And the Harley Benton cab looks really decent on the inside. We have bracing in all four corners of the cab, making it nice and stiff. We have metal handles and a metal jack plate. The center brace looks rather thin here, but I think it does the job because it's screwed on pretty tightly to the front baffle. And on the back plate, you might be able to see that here. There's actually a pocket milled into the wood where the center brace slots in and is screwed on. So that's a nice touch. that shouldn't go anywhere. The wires that were supplied are thick enough. They're not massively thick, but they don't strike me as dangerously thin either. One thing I did notice, however, is there doesn't seem to be any screws in the front baffle. So I don't think it can be removed like in most other cabs. It seems to be glued in or something like that. Let's compare that to the Marshall cab, on the other hand. And I'll have to preface this by saying that Marshall cabs have varied a bit over the decades. I have cabs from Marshall varying from 1978 up to 2021, and the newest cabs seem to be made better than the older cabs. Let's take a look at the specific cab from the 90s. We have the baffle screwed in with these screws here. But in my experience, these are often not fastened properly, or they come loose. Every single Marshall cab I've had so far, I've been able to tighten these some more without putting much force into it. They were pretty loose. I haven't tried it on these yet because I wanted to leave this cab as it was for the test. Other than that, there's no bracing here in the corners. This is plywood, but on the 90s cabs, they had particle board backplates here. I'm not sure if that makes a total difference. I'm going to be doing some tests and some later videos on this topic to find out. Particle board has the reputation of being less durable though. Other than that, we have really crappy plastic hardware that doesn't really inspire confidence to me. I'm afraid they're going to snap off every time I pick up this cab. Other than that, nothing special. We have one center brace here. It's pretty wobbly. And that's been the case on most Marshall cabs I have. On the 1960 AV cab I use for my speaker demos, I've actually taken the center brace off and put a thick screw in this way to make it less wobbly. And I think I glued it on as well as tightened it to the front baffle. And it's not mounted to the rear plate on this cab. Recent Marshall cabs have this, meaning that the back plate is screwed onto the center brace. This one doesn't. We're going to do a video later on how to improve this Marshall cab. I'm going to do all sorts of modifications to it to see how that affects the sound, one of which will be to beef up this center brace and mount it at the back plate, but that's an entirely different video. The wires in this one are placed there by me. I didn't get this cab with the original wires, except for these ones here on the terminal, and these are terrifyingly thin. They've made these a little thicker on later Marshall cabs, so yeah. Well, the problem with the loading of the speakers in this cab was definitely my fault. I'm stupid. I did have one issue with the terminal, or the jack terminal that this cab came with. It's very much akin to that on the Marshall cab, meaning you can switch it from stereo to mono and you have two jacks. Obviously for stereo, each would be for one pair of the speakers, and in this cab, according to the manual, you wire each side in parallel with each other, and then it seems you can use either this jack to have them all parallel, equaling in a load of 4 ohms total if you're using 16 ohm speakers, or putting both 16 ohm pairs, which are individually, or which have the impedance of 8 ohm per pair, in series, giving you an overall load of 16 ohms again. However, I think there might have been something wrong with this switching jack or with the terminal itself, because whatever I did, I never got a full 16 ohms on this jack. It was always 8. And yeah, I'm a self-admitted idiot, but I think there's something wrong there. That's definitely, it was enough to not make me trust this, so I just threw this out and just wired a single jack to the back plate and added this cable so we can wire both pairs in series, resulting in the correct load of about 16 ohms. You're going to read about 13 ohms on your DC meter there because, yeah, it's impedance, not resistance. Anyway, what I'm going to do now is close up both these cabs, mic them up with Shure SM57s. You might have noticed both of these cabs have a Marshall G12 vintage in there. These speakers came from the same cab, a 1960 AV. I've chosen those specifically because they're very close to each other and they're nice and smooth in the 5 to 6 kilohertz region. Yeah, I'm going to set up a room mic as well, an Austrian Audio OC818. going to hook up an amp and a cab switcher from KHE. And yeah, switch back and forth between those as well as the room mic just to see how this cab compares to a Marshall tonally. Yeah, let's get into it. All right, I'm all set up for the Shootout. I'm using my EVH 50 watt head here and a KHE CSX8, which they've loaned me for a few videos just to switch some cabs. Both cabinets are mic'd up with Shure SM57s on a Marshall G12 vintage from a 2021 Marshall 1960 AV cab. I know this isn't super scientific because ideally you'd use the same speaker, but I want to have fun with the amp switcher. This is not super scientific. It's a little more casual. Maybe we'll do some more scientific cabinet testing with the same speaker at a later stage. I'll be switching back and forth with a MIDI controller off camera because there's not enough space here for me to be on camera with the cabs. And I'm using an Austrian Audio OC818 for room sounds. I'll play that sound as well. Yeah, I'm going to butcher some riffs. I think that covers it all. Let's go. So what do I think? In the room, at least, the Marshall sounded a little bigger to me. It had more low end and more high end, which I preferred for the clean and crunchy tones. However, when we switched over to high gain, the Harley Benton sounded a little tighter, a little more tidy. It's really hard to pick a favorite because ear fatigue is a real thing too. I think they both sound really good, and that impresses me. The Harley Benton cab really impressed me. Under the microphone, I just gave it a quick sample. It seems that the Harley Benton cab sounds a little tighter. It's a little more mid-forward than the Marshall cab. But then again, I don't think there are any losers in the shootout. I'm happy to own both cabs. What did you think? Which cab did you prefer? What do you think of the Harley Benton? Would you buy one? If so, use my affiliate link down there. I'll also link these mic stands you guys keep asking me about. Those are Gravity cabs, some things I keep forgetting. They don't have a very catchy name, but they're very convenient. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Tell me, do you want to see more cab videos or not? Leave me a comment. Yeah. Not sure how to end this. I'll probably just stare at the camera awkwardly again, seeing as how I seem to have lost the ability to talk. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go to bed now. Good night.